Let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Elevator World's webinar series. I'm T. Bruce McKinnon, the president of Elevator World and your host for today. Due to the coronavirus and the limiting of personal contacts this year, we decided to offer webinars in addition to our traditional media. Today's webinar is presented by MAD Elevator Incorporated, and the topic is Achieve A17.1 2019 Emergency Communication Compliance, featuring MosaicONE Video and Messaging System. As required by the A17.1 B44 code update, all new and modernized elevator cars must be capable of live text and video communication. MAD Elevator has developed a simple, complete solution to the challenges posed by this new code, the MosaicONE Video and Messaging System. Today's presenter is Calvin Lindy, Digital Product Manager at MAD Elevator. We also have Steve Reich-Rorwig, President and CEO of MAD Elevator, as well as Don Holloway, who is the Elevator Program and Field Service Manager at Kings III. Both Steve and Don are on hand to answer any questions at the end of the presentation. We also have Brad O'Gwen, Vice President of Sales and Marketing here at Elevator World, monitoring the chat and question and answer section during this presentation. Please post any questions in these areas, and after the presentation, we'll do our very best to answer as many questions as possible. Calvin, you may begin the presentation.
Hey everyone, glad you could come to the presentation today. As Bruce said, I'm Calvin from MAD, the product manager here for digital stuff. We're here to talk about today the A17.1 2019 code changes and to introduce to you MosaicONE VMS, okay? So obviously code changes continue to happen. Let's go through quickly at a high level the code changes. So if you look at this chart, we can see here that every 5 years about, the code continues to change in regards to communication, right? They keep adding small requirements, big requirements, all right? It keeps getting more complicated. So let's go through this and see what's happened here, all right? So let's, as a quick summary, why did the code change? Okay, so the code changed for 2019 in the communication section because of the International Building Code 2018. It was changed in the communication section to require two-way visual communication. The problem with this is that it wasn't specific enough and caused some confusion. So the A17.1 was updated for 2019 to stop any confusion and be very specific with this code change, okay? We have three things that we require: voice, the two-way visual communication, and the one-way video, all right? The two-way voice is unchanged from the current elevator code. Okay, you still need your elevator phone. That's going to be for people that can speak and hear. All right, but the second and new thing is two-way visual communication. In this case, we implemented text messaging. All right, this is now for people who might have hearing impairment or speech impairment. They can communicate now with remote agents or people on site using text messaging with a visual communication. Okay. These two things together is going to work for 100% of people to communicate in an emergency, all right? You might ask yourself, what happens if there's a medical issue? If somebody has a heart attack or they're unconscious, they push the elevator button, they couldn't communicate, okay? Now we have one-way video from the remote monitoring center or on site into the car so the remote agent or the authorized personnel can look into the elevator and confirm occupancy, whether there's a person who has a medical issue or if there was a false call. A lot of times there's tons of people that accidentally push the button and they leave the elevator. There's nothing on the phone to indicate somebody's in there, and so someone has to go and check. So this is going to eliminate thousands of false elevator calls because you can easily go in and check. These three things are going to together make it super safe for people to use the elevator. All right, so the question is, what is MosaicONE VMS? All right, this is our purpose-built video and messaging system that we developed specifically to meet this elevator code requirement. All right, we've built it on our existing cloud-based digital signage platform, MosaicONE.net. So what was our approach when we came to build this? Okay, our approach was to build a robust, super easy to use, very easy to install and maintain system, okay, that we built on modern technology, both in the cloud and also at the building. To summarize this approach, we have three things: simple, seamless, and superior. Let me introduce to you the simplicity. First thing I'm going to show you is this system diagram. It's a pretty simple diagram here. If you look on the top right there, we see that there's a position indicator, okay? Everybody's familiar with having a position indicator in the elevator. We're also familiar with having, let's say, a camera in the elevator if that building has a security system, all right? So nothing has changed there. Those things are still there, okay? In this case, for the system, we have those two components and we have a gateway, all right? So the gateway is the thing that's controlling the communication, both from the cloud to the elevator and from the local greater than 60 feet panel to the elevator. So on-site personnel can communicate. The only differences here is we added a gateway, okay? And we have networking between the devices, whether that's Cat5 or twisted pair, all right? The code has some requirements based on battery backup, stuff like that. And so we've taken this diagram and we've incorporated all the items that you'll need to meet code in an all-in-one design. So you'll have modular components that have everything you need to meet code, including, you know, power supplies, battery charging, networking, network extenders, batteries, stuff like that, okay? So it's a modular system with all the code required components, including the gateway, right? Let me just show you quickly here. So the red components there are the VMS components. You have quickly a machine room box, okay? You have the box on the car top. And if you have a greater than 60 foot or more building, you'd have a on-site touchscreen panel in the FCC room or maybe in the lobby, or even you could have a security desk computer, okay? So if you look on the right there, you have a regular car operating panel. Super seamless. The customer won't even notice you have a VMS system. In this case, the PI is combined with the message screen. So you'll see the messages when the call is activated on the screen. And you can also see for the VMS system, there's the camera. Okay, so no one's really going to notice there's a VMS system and all the components are integrated in module. Okay, so going forward, how does it work? Quickly, you push the phone button, what happens? The ADA phone makes the phone call like it usually does. And at the same time, the VMS makes the VMS call, all right? That's both local to the building and in the cloud. The second step is to answer the call, obviously. The remote agent can answer the call through the portal online. They can see the video and the text messaging, okay? And as well on site, if you have the on-site panel, the mechanic, the fireman, a security guard, they can all go to that panel if they're authorized and see all the elevators at one time. They can see all the videos streaming. They can assess a situation very quickly if someone is in danger, if there's an emergency. They can also see where the elevators are in the hoistway, and they can click into each elevator and do messaging and view the video full screen, okay? The third thing is to confirm the situation. So those authorized personnel are gonna start that conversation with the user. They're gonna do the text messaging, okay? They're gonna determine what the issue is. The user can see it on the screen there. They can respond with yes, no buttons or door open, door close. And doing that, the authorized personnel are able to confirm the situation, okay? So our approach was simple, seamless, and superior. First, we're gonna focus on being simple. Number one thing people think about is field installation and also maintenance. How did we make the field installation easy? Okay, couple things. It's pre-wired, like I said, based on that diagram. It's all-in-one components, they're modular, all right? Using those components, you just mount the boxes to the wall, you plug in the internet connection, okay? And you power the boxes up. After that, you might ask me, Calvin, how do you program this? Is it easy? We've introduced auto provision, okay? The system, when you add a car to the gateway in the machine room box, it programs itself in 3 minutes, okay? There's no contacting MAD to program. You don't need to call it in, right? There's no special file. There's no piece of paper with a number on it. There's no serial number that you need to know. The system programs itself. You type in a code, you name the elevator. In 3 minutes, you can be placing the call in that elevator. You do that for each car and you're done. The second thing is simple maintenance. okay? The system has line monitoring, but it's better than that. It's called system self-monitoring. So this system is looking at all the devices internally every minute to see what's connected, what's happening, okay? And so what this is gonna do for the mechanic is gonna make it super easy to do maintenance. The mechanic going to site, if there's an issue, he doesn't have to spend hours and hours troubleshooting which elevator has the problem, which device it is. This system will now use logic and tell him, elevator 7, the camera, it's not connected. Check the network cable, check the PoE injector, check the network extender. So it's gonna tell the mechanic exactly what's broken and what to do to fix it. So the mechanic is not gonna spend hours of time trying to troubleshoot, all right? So these notifications and this status is going to be reported in multiple locations, including in the car on the messaging screen, on the lobby panel if it's on the site, and also in the cloud. And so if it's in the cloud, it can be anywhere. You can pull up that status even at the monitoring center to see, hey, did this elevator go on battery backup or not? Stuff like that. All right. And all this stuff can be put into notifications like an email or a cloud notification. All right. The third thing is simple code fulfillment. Like I said, it's an all-in-one solution, so we don't have to worry about meeting code or a customer requirement because everything's included in one thing, okay? Now, the second thing I wanted to show to you is the seamlessness of the system. First, there's seamless compatibility, all right? We've all had jobs where we ordered a controller, we ordered fixtures, we ordered the machine. Someone didn't check the box correctly, the software doesn't match, the protocol doesn't match. You gotta either do a software update or reorder it. Right? What did we do to fix that? In this case, you'll never get stuck with incompatibility because the system is non-proprietary. It can work with every elevator controller. That includes the PI format, okay? And also, it's not phone specific, all right? So you can, say you have a job where you're doing a university campus or a hospital or a government building. You don't have to tell your customer that they have to use a specific phone to use this system. You can choose this system before you even meet the customer or select your elevator controller, all right? And if the customer wants to use that complicated intercom that they use, right? Maybe it's a Ring Communications, maybe it's a Stenophon, it's a Command, crazy intercom from Austria. You don't have to worry about it. So you're always gonna be compatible. You're never gonna get stuck, okay? And then the other thing is it's not tied to one monitoring center. So you're not gonna get stuck in that sense where you are fixed to one monitoring center, all right? And then things like camera harness, right? There's no length limit on it. It's an IP camera. You can have a 100-foot camera cable if you wanted. You can install it on a 20-foot high cab. So seamless compatibility, all right? The next thing is seamless security. Obviously, this is a huge concern for customers, your customers, possibly buildings, IT departments, banks, government, right? All the internet communication is 100% encrypted, all right? So there's no security concerns there. No spoofing, no sniffing, all right? The other thing is we have 100% rating with SSL Labs and security scorecard, and everything is behind a firewall, okay? So all the communication is always behind the firewall. There's no port forwarding for the camera. There's no ports open. Everything is already closed, okay? So it's always secure and it's been cybersecurity tested, so it's secure by design. The other seamless thing is updates. We want to talk about that. Just in 5 years, you need to think about it. 5, 10 years, right? You're doing this, you have this project. What happens when the security protocol gets updated or becomes unsecure? Your encryption's not secure anymore. It's 5 years later. You have a job where, it's a bank or something. They're telling you like, hey, it has to be secure. What's going to happen here is that the cloud platform is always being updated and will always remain secure. If needed, you can update the devices, okay? There's not going to be a security hole and you don't need to replace hardware, all right? So you can stay up to date on both things, okay? The other thing is continuous improvement. Because it's on the cloud, it enables the system to improve over time. We're gonna have better auto provision, better setup, better camera feeds, better features, right? It's only gonna get better. And the fourth thing here is completeness, right? That's why it's seamless, because it's complete. You get everything all in one and you just plug it in. You don't need to worry about all these different pieces. So talking about seamless, we want to bring up the monitoring center. Obviously, it's probably a concern of yours that, hey, this system's super new. You know, is my monitoring center capable of monitoring it? The best part is that when we developed this system, we worked alongside Kings 3. They're the market leader in elevator phone monitoring. Our system is 100% compatible with monitoring centers, and Kings 3 is totally ready today they're 100% compatible to run this system. If you have a job right now, you can get them to monitor it. If they monitor it, it reduces your risk and liability, right? You don't have to worry about the elevator phone or the monitoring. And also Kings 3 has credentials, so they're always monitoring 24/7, 365. Okay, they're certified by Red Cross, 175 languages. All right, so that's the option you have. Okay, if you're worried about that, if your monitoring center can't handle it, they're always there for you. Okay, as an option. The third thing we want to talk about here is superior, both software and hardware. All right, just to go quickly, we're using the best web technology available. All right. And it's configurable. Let's call it a smart system. So if you have 5 elevators doing a VMS call at the same time, right? And all of a sudden your internet connection bit rate drops. What happens? Do all the calls get canceled? No, the system can auto adapt. It knows that it will just reduce its frame rate. It'll increase its compression, right? It'll accept what bit rate it gets, and the video will still keep streaming. So that, in that case, it's a smart system. And it's configurable. We can change those settings. We can stream 1 frame per second or HD video, right? And the other thing is that we, MAD, have been doing Internet of Things for 5 years. We've been connecting to devices for a long time, okay? And so we have thousands of devices in the field. And so this stuff like this is not new for us. We didn't develop it 6 months ago, all right? And we can even do API support for your monitoring center, for call archival, stuff like that. The next thing is hardware, all right? What hardware are we using? Well, we're using proven hardware, all right? We're using components we've been using for 5 to 10 years already. They have a high mean time between failure, okay? We didn't go on Alibaba and find the cheapest components we could to keep the cost down. We focused on having a cost-effective system, but also that has very high quality components, all right? So you're not gonna have to worry that these parts will break in a year or 2 years, okay? So you won't spend labor fixing stuff. The other thing with hardware is that it's integrated. Like I showed you previously, the position indicator can be integrated with the messaging screen. The customer therefore thinks it's seamless and won't notice that the VMS is even there, although you can have it separate still. The lobby panel, if you have it on a building greater than 60 feet or more, it's our existing touchscreen technology we've had for 10 years, right? That screen is there, it's a touch screen. The fireman can come in with a gloved hand, they can see all the elevators at one time, streaming live video, right? And they can quickly bounce into each car, check, zoom in, you know, exit. They can check emergence and assess the situation super fast. And the same thing, like I said before, the battery backup's integrated. You have options for the security desk office, stuff like that, okay? So the other thing with hardware, it's flexible. Just because we've integrated it as modular components, you have options like, hey, I want a certain size screen. I want a different power requirement, right? I want a different mounting location, stuff like that, okay? So these things there is options existing for all this stuff. Is the PI integrated? Is it separate, right? So we have those options and that flexibility. So now we're gonna show you a live demo of the system. Let me minimize this. Oops, sorry. Okay. So you'll see here 4 screens, okay? On the top right, you have the elevator position indicator and message screen. This could be a typical screen in an elevator. This is what the user is going to see. On the top left, you see the MosaicONE VMS monitoring portal for the remote agent. All right. Here you see the device status page. And on the right side here on the bottom, you see the elevator lobby panel device. Okay, so for the sake of the demo, let's pretend we're at the first floor and let's go up to the top floor, right? So we're traveling here. Oh, elevator got stuck. Now it happens. All right, so I'm gonna be an elevator user, I'm gonna press the phone button. Okay, what's happening here? If you look on the left side here in the portal, automatically the call comes up with a screenshot of what's happened here. If you look on this, you can see it's my front yard, so don't be alarmed, it's not a real elevator. But let's connect into here and check out what's happening. All right, what just happened? I just connected as a remote agent. I can see the full screen video and I can do the text messaging here. For the elevator user, what's happened? It indicated to them that an operator's online with the emergency session active, okay? And they can see the messages here. So as a remote agent, I'm gonna send a message, right? Instantly, you can see that the message was appearing on the screen. And as an elevator user, I can confirm that I can hear them, or maybe I can't, right? Is the elevator stuck? Let's do a little conversation, right? Yes, it's stuck, okay? So as a code requirement, the agent must be able to indicate that help is on the way. So he can flip this button and tell the user that he's dispatched help to the elevator, okay? So what's next? Well, the agent's gonna probably drop off the call because he's pretty busy. He's got a lot of calls to answer. This guy's still stuck in the elevator, all right? So the agent's gonna end the call, right? All the calls are gonna be in recent calls, okay? And the screen will go back to regular. Okay, the fireman, the mechanic's gonna come 30 minutes later, let's say, he's gonna be able to click on the remote lobby panel, right? And he can see into the elevator. And he can also send messages. Let's say he wants to send this message, we're gonna come get you out, okay? To meet code, there's a checkbox here, indicate to the elevator that help has arrived on site. So if I click that, you can see that appears on the PI, okay? It's gonna be a lot bigger, right? So you can see the live video there. This is my front yard. So imagine you're a fireman, a mechanic, and you have 10 elevators and the power went out and you gotta get 10 people out, right? You can just quickly assess what's the problem very quickly, right? Let's minimize that. Okay, the other thing is, let's say someone places a call, okay, to the remote monitoring center. I answer it, it's all good. We're talking. Okay, then the mechanic comes, or a fireman, he's already on site. He wants to talk to the elevator because he's on site, okay? So he's gonna start the call here. What happened here? You can see on the top left, the call was taken over by the lobby panel on location. So the on location panel has priority. It can take over calls. The agent knows what's happened here and she can just exit out of that, right? But also she now can see what's happening. So in progress calls, if I send a message, right, I can do a bunch of messages here, okay? And then what happens, right? The remote agent can see what's happening. All right, everything is here, live, it comes in live, okay? So that's super flexible, super awesome. If I close this call, right? I can see all that's happening and I can even push the button to call back. So if you're a remote agent, something happened, the call dropped, something went sideways, right? They can always call back into the elevator. The other thing is, as a remote agent, I want to do call archiving, right? So what happens here? So I'm gonna download the call archive data, okay? Right, so I get my zip file. I have this entire history here. All of this is in my file. I have the video stuff. So all that's going to be with timestamps. It's going to tell you who answered the call, you know, where the call was from, to all that stuff that's already in this dialogue here. Okay. And then on the bottom here, you have your device statuses. So imagine you have 20 cars. You're going to show all the statuses for the devices. If they're online, stuff like that. This is the line monitoring, the smart line monitoring. Okay. I think that concludes the demo. Let me go back to the presentation. Okay, so in summary, let's recap, right? We have a simple install with modular components. The 3 components would be machine room box, car top box, or a COP kit, all right? And a lobby panel, touchscreen, or we could use a computer for the security desk agent, okay? And the best thing about this is it's super easy to install. You just connect your power and your internet. You got to connect the internet from car to car top, from controller to car top. That's one twisted pair, okay? And then you're done. If you look on the right, it's super seamless. It can be integrated into the BI. The best thing is auto provision. program your job in 3 minutes. You get a code on the screen, you type it in, you name the elevator, and you're done, okay? The other thing is you have options when ordering. You can get different power requirements, different message screen, you know, size, location, if it's a PI, if it's not, right? We would love for you to order a COP from MAD on every job, but obviously you guys might have different preferences or preferred vendors. And so we have OEM kits both integrated into your third-party fixture manufacturer's COP, or you can do, let's say, a standalone kit where you would repair it on a, or install it on a repair or a service job, all right? So these options are available for you. You can select which ones are best for your project, okay? I think that concludes the presentation. Q&A time. I'll give it over back to Bruce.
Okay, fantastic, Calvin. We've got Steve and Don on hand to answer some of the questions. So guys, jump right in and go for it.
Looks like we might have lost Steve there just for a minute. So I'll give him just a minute to come back on.
I thought I saw a question in here about monitoring. Don, did you see that?
Let me see. I think there was the one about the monthly fee for the service. Is that for the monitoring service from MAD? I believe that's what that one's referring to on that one.
Yeah.
You want to wait for Steve, or I can handle the question and answer?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead,
Yep,
Calvin.
there he is. He's
Okay,
back.
Steve's back. Thanks, Steve. Okay, we're in question and answer period, Steve. So can you?
Hey, sorry about that. My computer overheated and decided to shut down. So I don't have actually access to the questions. However, a couple of them that did come up. Question was, is there, do you require Cat5 for the connections?
Okay, so no. So there are some Cat5s internally to the modular boxes that we're supplying, and you can use Cat5 if you want to between components if it's less than 300 feet. If it's in the traveling cable, we do supply internet extenders, so you use one twisted pair. Yeah, I think that answers that question.
Okay, thank you. There was the question of how can you speak, or I guess this would be for Don, can you speak to the experience of Kings 3 in working with the contractors and the background there on how that would work?
Yeah, speaking on that with Kings 3, we work across the industry with from the bigs to all the smalls and everything else as far as the contractors themselves. We have things that's called the, Kings 3 referral, the EPP, Elevator Partner Program. And that basically works where the elevator company can use us as the monitoring service for them. They have a referral program that we give them benefits for actually making money off of the sales for them as well. So it's not just on our benefit, but them. But that interface with a system like this is it gives them the flexibility to not have the responsibility with this complicated system that currently right now, there's a lot that goes along with it, as Calvin was going over with the integration from checking the inputs of where the person is, doing the text messaging, also having the ability to have the person respond in the full training and ability. So as Calvin said, having that weight taken off of the elevator company themselves, whether it be a large company or small, dealing with some of these facilities would be that's what we try and do, is alleviate that pressure on them.
Okay, thank you, Don. Calvin, another question is, does the system replace the ADA phone, or is the phone still needed?
The phone's still needed. That's why it's non-proprietary in terms of phone, because you can use any elevator phone. We're not replacing the phone. The system is working in parallel with the phone.
Thank you. Another one was in regards to the battery backup. How does that work? Is there any battery monitoring?
Yep, so the system has battery monitoring. It's going to report if your battery has stopped charging, if you've lost the connection, if your AC is dropped, stuff like that. So that battery monitoring will be integrated into the reporting in the 3 locations that I mentioned. So you'll know if the system went on battery backup, and then also when the system shut down.
Perfect. Is the system does it require a separate traveling cable, or can it be integrated into an existing one?
So the only thing you need in your traveling cable is that one twisted pair. That's going to bring the internet to the car. Okay, that's all you're going to need for this system. In this case, the boxes would be powered separately. So the machine room box and car top box would be powered by 120. Okay, there is an option to do power coming from machine room if you want, but that would increase the number of cables in your traveler.
Perfect, thank you. Is another one, how is security handled, or is there security at the lobby panel?
The lobby panel does have security. Currently, the video is not encrypted, but it's on the roadmap. But all the web traffic is encrypted already.
What about access to the public, if it's in a public location on the lobby panel?
So the security, okay, in that term of security, yeah. So we have a key switch there that is shutting it off. So when you have an on-off switch, essentially, whether it's whatever key it's going to be for the building user, the building owner, and the emergency responders. So they'll be able to activate the system with a key switch if it's in a public location. So the screen's going to be off at all times. And when someone who's authorized wants to use it, they can turn that key and that system will turn on and they'll be able to use it.
Okay, thank you. Can the answering operator type in any question, or are the questions pre-programmed?
Both. They can do free-form questions and they can use the canned messages.
Are there any limits to the controller types that are supported or not supported?
So because it's non-proprietary, you can use any elevator controller. The only thing is, if you combine both the PI and the messaging screen, your PI will have to connect, the PI will connect to the controller. In this case, we have protocol integration with all the elevator controllers that are on the market. And so you won't have an issue with integration. But you can also make the message screen separate from the COP. In that case, it won't be connected to the controller.
Okay, thank you. There's a question here, just as if the video can be downloaded for future use and training purposes. I do believe EW is, these are posted on in the resource section on their website. Another question about EOE, the EOE requirement and the status of each elevator car in respect to if it's occupied or not. How does this work with that, and is the video the only way to comply?
Can you repeat? That question says, how do they know if someone's in the elevator?
Correct. Well, how it relates to the OEO code.
The OEO code, I guess you have to display those symbols on the position indicator. I'm not 100% clear on answering that question. The video is gonna be from the remote monitoring center or the on-site panel. So if they need to see into the elevator on-site, they can use the system because the video is going to be live for all elevators.
From that lobby panel, they do have a live feed of every single elevator, and so they can visually confirm each one is occupied or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. The question, is the encryption internal from the car to the gateway, or only from the gateway out to the internet?
Right now it's just the internet, but the encryption is being implemented on the internal LAN. So when it's released, they will be both.
How is internet supplied to the car and system?
So you can use a modem, a 4G modem, or you can connect to the building internet because it's behind a firewall. And we're using the best method. We can easily connect through that internet without having to do IP addresses, stuff like that.
Okay, thank you. Is the video communication can be recorded and downloaded later if an accident occurs during conversation?
Yes. It's part of the call center archival process. So the monitoring center can download that data, or you could download it if you're somebody, you know, the vendor.
Will this system work with a CE Elite PI?
No.
I'm in an IT department on a college campus, and this is a first. A network connection requires 4-pair Cat 5e or above, not a single pair. Also, we have an A17.1 PSAP on campus that would do the monitoring. Does this integrate to the PSAP?
I have no idea.
So
the twisted pair in the traveling cable, okay, is that's doing VDLS, which is just, it's DSL, you know, extending. So it's just taking Ethernet, converting it back and forth from wires to Cat5. So I don't think that's the issue. The input on the machine room box is just a regular Cat5 or RS jack. Okay, so regardless of your internet connection, should be able to connect. I'm not sure about the other stuff you're talking about.
I might be able to help out on that, Steve, if you want.
Okay.
I think the requirements, what he's talking about, we do a lot of college campuses across the country and everything else, and whether it's us supplying our equipment or using their own equipment that dials out directly to, say, their security. So the phone itself would still be functioning as a standalone. It is affiliated with the MosaicONE, but you could actually have that program go to there. The security officer, whoever's going to answer, would have the panel to do the functionality with the MosaicONE. So they would just have access to that panel.
Yeah.
But
So in that case,
you
would use your regular setup with your regular phone already, and we would just give you a computer with a touch panel that you install in your security monitoring center, and that you can use it with a mouse and keyboard. It's the same part of your workflow. You're not changing your workflow.
All right. How durable is the touchscreen display? My concern is vandalism.
We've installed it for the last 10 years, and so we haven't had an issue with broken glass. It's certified and tempered. Our business development manager, typically when he does demos, he hits it with he punches it and hits it with things like keys and scratches it. And so it's very, very vandal resistant.
Will this system easily integrate with the major elevator manufacturers such as Schindler, Coney, and Otis?
Yes.
Okay.
What else do you want to know? Yeah, so we worked with some of them directly. Okay, so making sure that their monitoring center can work with our system. So they're already aware, and so there's no risk there.
I think as this is kind of a standalone and non-proprietary, it can work with any elevator control system. The only place where they're interacting is at whoever the monitoring station is. So whether that's Schindler, ThyssenKrupp, or Coney that's answering the call on the other end, and the only other connection point is if we're using that message screen as the position indicator where we're interfacing, but we interface and can do a position indicator with pretty much all controllers. So maybe Don, if maybe for you, will the phone still work with a POT system, or will we need to go over the voice over IP?
You can still use it with the POT system. So if, say, a lot of facilities supply their own POTS line, or cellular, it's a whole combination now. But yes, it'll still function. The interface is through the MosaicONE, so the system itself will still operate as normal.
Thank you. Could the interface be a window on the existing display of the public safety answering point versus does it need to be a separate panel?
Currently, we're supplying just a separate panel to make it easy. Down the road, if there's a need, we could look at it.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm just sorting through the questions here to see which ones have already been answered. Kelvin, what are the standby power options?
We have a fully integrated battery backup system. Okay, so we've designed each component modular system to have the 4-hour battery backup depending on what you order. I think that's what they're asking. There is options to power with 24 volts or 120, depending on the location. So that's that flexibility I was talking about.
Are COP and lobby panel drawings available?
Yep.
Okay.
We have standard drawings for all the components, so if you need a set, we can definitely provide that.
As an educator of elevator inspectors, where would I find the checkout procedure if not included in a MCP?
I'm reading it here. Maintenance control plan, on-site documentation, written checkout procedures, two-way communication means. I haven't read the maintenance control plan, I guess sections for that. We will have an on-site procedure for testing and I guess for inspectors. I'm not 100% sure what a checkout procedure is, but we can answer that question offline or get you the answer. Typically, the system can be tested by anybody after installation.
What is the typical turnaround time for a standalone versus integrated system once approved?
Standalone are going to be standard off-the-shelf components, so you can order it and it'll ship right away. If it's an integrated COP, we have our, I think, 5-week lead time on a COP right now. So that would be part of the COP approval. So the lead time wouldn't be based on the VMS components because they're all standard. It would be based on the drawing approval.
Thank you. Has this gone through, or are there plans to put it through a pen test, which I guess a penetration test from a cybersecurity standpoint?
Yeah, like I listed on the presentation that it is going through cybersecurity testing penetration. Okay, so those bases are covered.
Does the internet connection have to be a static IP address?
No, it does not have to be a static IP address. Like I said, because it's behind a firewall, there's a barrier there. So as long as it has an internet connection, it should be fine. So that's why that's part of the easy setup.
Perfect. Is code 4-hour backup? I think the customer would also need to provide its own battery backup for all electronics providing network/internet access.
Yeah, exactly. So the code is 4-hour backup. There are options for providing internet to the system, whether that's a 4G modem or it's a customer LAN. The issue with customer LAN is they will have to back up their internet routers, their switches, stuff like that. So there's a clear path between the ISP modem and the machine room box but it's going to be there if they choose that, or if it's chosen that they're going to provide that internet, definitely they will have to make sure it's battery backup for 4 hours.
Don, could you comment on how Kings 3 takes care of that? in terms of ones who are with signed up with you?
Yeah. With Kings 3, we have, as a lot of people know across the country, what we do is we use the dialer setup, and we have several different options. Our systems have an integrated battery that runs off of a trickle charger that continuously charges the battery that it's working off of. Our system does, again, a 4-hour continuous talk time, and then does the 4-hour battery backup for the unit. It monthly calls in and tells the battery voltage, so we constantly know if the battery fails. It'll let us know what that size of the battery is. So as far as phone communication to comply with the battery backup portion, Kings 3 has that taken care of with our equipment. So that interface with the, whether it's going to be cellular, whether it's going to be how they're getting their internet, can interface with that at one point as well.
Perfect, thank you. So if it's with Kings 3, it's taken care of. If it's being provided by the building, their internet modems, and if any downstream or upstream equipment would also need to have that battery backup.
Right. A lot of them maybe use like a cable modem, which does not comply. I mean, as soon as the power goes out, it's going to die. All of us know is we all have cable modems or something at home. Unless you run a battery backup on it, it's not going to work when it shuts down. So that's where the integrated point comes in play.
Another one for you, Don. Does the building owner have to maintain an ongoing service with Kings 3 for the life of the elevator?
No, I believe as far as with Kings 3, we supply just like our normal standard cross country. We're flexible with many of the people. As Calvin was talking about, we have the interface if they want Kings 3 to manage the phone calls, prioritize the interface. Just like Calvin had talked about, Kings 3 actually digitally records, timestamps all of our communications. So we have not only the backup from the system, but Kings 3 actually backs up all of our interface. The video, the phone call, the video, everything will be backed up on our side as well. So you'll have a one package deal for everything at the same time. So that's part of our requirement that we go through as well. But no, they won't have to have a lifetime because it's non-proprietary. That's one of the big things that's being pushed here.
Thank you. Are all the software versions upgraded remotely over cloud, or do you need a technician on site?
Because it's cloud-based and it's Internet of Things, it is connected. It can be connected to the cloud. The focus we're having is to not update anything remotely. Obviously, because that can introduce problems, and obviously we don't want to start updating stuff. But if it's needed that it can be updated, and the contractor wants it to be updated remotely, it can be updated.
I think to clarify there, the goal is if it's working, we're not pushing regular updates, but updates are done through the cloud. You do not require a mechanic to go on site for majority of the updates, if required. And I think I know we're running short on time here, so just a couple last questions. When is this available?
Right away.
So we have units. We have units out in the field. They're in test towers, and so this system is available today. If you have a customer site that you wanna install it on, it's available today. And then last question, or maybe I'll send it over to you, Dawn. Cellular coverage in the car can be unreliable. Do you have a rooftop antenna and grab it off air signal? Is the cell signal given priority with the cellular carriers, given it is life safety?
Yeah, Kings 3, as far as that question, as stated, it is unreliable inside of the shaft. That's why Kings 3 doesn't mount anything inside of the shaft. What we try and do is we'll either mount it inside of the actual telephone room where the system currently is now, a location where you have the good reception, as well as even in the machine rooms, if those states allow. You know, we have some states that don't allow that, so it depends upon that point. We have different providers that we use right now for our 4G setup, and with our new M90 system, that is our own contained system, and it will take care of all the minimum requirements. We have a minimum basis we have to do for a DVI as far as the antenna strength. So we do not have any issues with those at all.
Okay, thank you, Don. And I guess on Calvin, do you want to just comment on if it's not with Kings 3 with the cell placement?
Yeah, it's similar. So obviously you have a basement traction, you're not going to get signal. So the antennas have to be located remotely. I think there is multiple providers, yes. So definitely going to be a challenge if you want to use a cell modem a small percentage of the time. There is a process to install the antenna and where to place it, stuff like that we're going to have if there's a need for a modem. The contractors can even supply modems themselves and manage that. It's just an internet connection at the end of the day, right? So it doesn't matter what modem you use, but definitely you'll need a signal, so that is important.
Perfect. So it doesn't look like there's any more questions, so maybe I'll pass this back to you, Bruce.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, Calvin and Steve, and as well as Don. Excellent presentation, very informative. The MosaicONE is available from Mad Elevator, and you can find out more details at madelevator.com. Each of you will receive a follow-up email with contact information and free access to this webinar in Elevator World's Content Center. I'd like to personally thank each and every one of you for attending today. We had a terrific turnout with more than 180 attendees. So thank you very much for attending. I hope everyone has a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.